the funding started in January for us to get equipment and make decisions of what we were going to do and that. And I think it was until about August before I even decided what images I was going to use or what was going to be said. And what happened was one of the other girls who made a short film using my archive but mixing in their own stuff and that, and one of them just mentioned to me and saying, what's it like in Liverpool, is there equality? And she was asking all kinds of questions about Liverpool because she's from London. And I said, and then when she said about is there equality, I thought, oh, that's a good question. And so I knew that was where I was taking the film, taking the footage that I've got, because say when I came to Liverpool in the 70s, from about the 80s to the noughties, is it called? It was there was all political and social things going on. The people in Liverpool were very racist still, very homophobic, stuff like that was going on. So I thought, okay, that's going to be the question I'm going to ask people. And before that, I decided that I had loads of images that I wanted to, that were my fave and I look at more than anything else. And it turned out one of the other girls who was making film using my footage, she made it with the images that I was going to choose. So that was enough of that. I had to have something totally different. So with this question about equality in Liverpool, did anyone notice how it was only women who got interviewed? And I made that to be a point because you don't very often see women taking control of situations and that. It's a lot different today, but when I was getting all this archive, it wasn't, it was open for women doing things like that. So the women who I chose were the women I've known the longest, like 20, 30 years ago. Quite a few of them were young teenagers when I first met them. And I chose these particular people because I know they'd seen me about in Liverpool for years, running around, with a camera and all that one like. And that's how it came to be that. What I did.
It's incredible that the footage that you've got though, because I'm looking at some of that footage and seeing people 30 years ago, and that's my history, and I'm thinking, God, I've become a part of history now. I'm that old that I've become a part of it. And it's shocking to me how, whole Clause 28, and a lot of the people in this room have no history of that because it was 1988 and they weren't even born. People this year will be 17 and were born in the year 2000. How mad is that? So interesting that you happen to be. So how did you come to be documenting? Because at the time we didn't think we were making history when we were, campaigning against Clause 28, or we were going to a club, or we were at a community event, or like the Granby housing, the Granby meeting and stuff. How did you come to be documenting it?
Well, when I first came to Liverpool, I'd been married, had kids, all that one, and there was a custody battle, and I got my daughters taken off me. I had 3 daughters and a son, and I was deemed unfit to mother my daughters because I was a lesbian, even though I'd been a single parent for 6 years, and all that one. So when I came to Liverpool in 1970, I had to reinvent myself because I only had staying access once a month. So I only saw my kids now and again. So living in Liverpool, moving to Liverpool really changed my life in respect of, I was still their mother kind of thing, but I wasn't every day doing that kind of thing. And I was really aware of how racist it was and how homophobic it was. And I was aware of young gay boys being on the streets. Young gay women would just go and get a job, go and get a flat. They were just dealing with their lives. They were moving on. But a lot of lads who were young teenagers who'd come out, the family had kicked them out, all that was going on. So I became really friendly with the young teenage boys because I knew, you know, I'd be giving them advice and all that, but at the same time, you know, I was using my mothering experiences with them, telling them how to look after themselves and things like that. So while all that was going on, I could, you know, I was affected by racist, you know, someone would come up and spit at you or even give you a smack if you couldn't run fast enough, like. Then there was the homophobia that was going on, you know, that was dead heavy. The first gay club in Liverpool happened in the early 70s, and I was really aware of how the room was chocker, wall-to-wall gays and that, and I was really aware of how exciting and happy and everyone was so different than what they were, you know, on the street and all that, and the same goes for me as well. So that was how I came to start documenting it, because at the same time in the 70s, mainstream media was showing black people being called Sambo and, you know, where's the bone on your nose and all things like that. Then the gay sort of humour was, you know, so pansy and all that one like. And I was aware of how different these gay boys were, and I used to think, I want to see me mates on the telly, because I was so bored with watching mainstream humiliate people because of who they were or how they lived and all that. And that was, you know, I started off with just photographs to begin with, because I didn't have any collection myself anyway, because I'd been brought up in a kids' home anyway, and there was nothing going on like that. So I was documenting it by photographs first, all the people I knew, and just became a habit. The camera was like a third eye for myself, so everything I saw that, you know, oh, look at that, I'd just document it. And it wasn't until the late 80s, even maybe the early 90s, that video camera became accessible, you know, in the way of price and how easy it was to work and all that one. So then I just swapped over to video then.
And you've been doing this for the project for a year now, and so people can see the photographs. They're available via the central archives in the central library.
Mm-hmm.
And they can, how do they access video if they want to see the video?
There's some on the website, so we've been publishing
Loads
it.
on the website.
Yeah, we've been digitising it all. The digitised copies will go into the archive, but we're also sharing a lot of it on the web through YouTube, which is on the website, rewindfestival.net. But that's the raw footage as well, it's not edited, so it's just, it's quite interesting.
Because the actual process of doing this has thrown up some interesting issues, hasn't it, in terms of how do you share digital, or how do you share digital archive?
Yeah.
How do you save that archive? And, you know, I know Helena was talking about this at the Museum of Liverpool event the other week.
Yeah.
Because of course, people now, everything is digital, and a lot of it is not owned because we all put it on Facebook and forget about it. Facebook own it, we don't own it anymore.
Yeah.
And what will happen, you know, you took physical hard photographs that are in packs on a floor in your flat,
Mm-hmm.
which have now been scanned, bizarrely. They've been made digital so that they can be part of an archive, but at least you have them.
Mm.
And so many people now don't have the physical photographs.
Mm.
And, you know, how many times do you look through your digital photographs on your laptop or on, you know, however you store them, you know, or for a while we were storing them on CDs. How many times do you get a CD out now and put it in a, you know, put it in, you haven't got a slot anymore on your computer, have you? So it's interesting that actually what you had is something that, you know, I don't know if people are trying to do what you were doing then, now, and how they're documenting it and how they're thinking about saving that for the future.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do next? Because this project's coming to an end now, and after these screenings and everything, what are you going to do with the work next?
Well, there's a guy called Mark Booth, and he runs a place called B3 Media down in London. It's a college for BAME, Black, Asian,
Minority ethnic.
Yeah. Don't need to use saying that phrase so much nowadays. It was mainstream title back in the day. Anyway, and he had exhibition in the Museum of Liverpool called L8 Unseen, and it was all about people from L8, and that was where the majority of the black community lived, and it was them telling their stories. And I was involved in that. I was one of the people he interviewed in that, and watching that exhibition made me really aware of how important local history is. People's stories, that's what local history is. You know, you talk about something going on down the street, like the blonde-haired woman was saying about some young girl, the guy from the chippy wanted to give her a lift home, and the women were looking after her, and she actually says at the end of it, she said she'd never seen that before. She's been a community leader for years, 20, 30 years, and she'd never seen that before. How young people are protected now, because you know you didn't insist that something could happen to them or stuff like that. I've forgotten what you asked me now.
So and people can still see this exhibition that Sandi's talking about. Actually, you know, the Cumberamani on the corner of Princess Ave.
Oh yeah.
It's gone up there, and it's kind of got a permanent home there. Not all of
Yeah.
it, because the space wasn't big enough, but some of the pictures are up in there, and it's
Yeah.
free. You can just walk in and have a look.
Yeah, and that's what impressed me so much, because for the first time you're hearing stories straight from that phrase, the horse's mouth. So when me and Tim, when the stuff was getting digitised and I was having to make a film, I thought then, I loved the way that he'd done it, because it's about people, I keep saying this, but telling their own story. That's how important it is, because people who've been there and felt it, they're the only ones who could say what really happened. So
What are you going to do in the future with it?
yeah, so because it's been going on for a year, and you know it gets showed, 2 other girls have been shown their side of it. They've chosen particular images from the footage themselves and mixed it in with what they're doing, and I'm quite bored now because I've done it that many times, and I sit here and I try and think of it something different way to tell what's happened and what I've been doing. But as far as what I want to do, I still want to use my archive in other ways, but I want to use it more in a performance way, like what Mark Booth's suggesting. He's talking about a residency in Nottingham, and for me to decide what visuals or what films I want to use, and you know, put them out another way, get people to see them in another way. Like one of the things that I'm thinking of doing is having a route, because it's the 50th anniversary for homo
Decriminalisation of
yeah,
homosexuality.
yeah, that one. Because of that, right, I thought, well, it's been a really important issue in my life, being gay, and so many people who I know, and I thought, okay, I'm going to use this year anniversary on you know, criminalising homosexuals, and so I'm going to take them on a walk round all the old places that were gay at the time, and most of them were underground and down back alleys. A lot of them have been filled in or knocked down and something else is there. There's a pub called the Lisbon on Victoria Stanley Street, which I was pulling pints in the 70s. I was a barmaid there, and that was when I first came out, because the first thing the manageress said to me was, you'll be, when I started work, you'll be all right, you get a few puffs in here, but they don't bother you. And there's a little story behind that, because these 3 gay boys come in, dead obvious they were gay, you know, really camp, looked beautiful. One was wearing makeup, one had a V-neck with a big cleavage going on, and the other one was all right. And so I thought, oh, you know, what's wrong in the gay boys? What's she saying? And they ordered the drinks, and one of them, I had these hot pants on as well. That girl who's talking about hot pants in the 70s, I was one of the people. And so I had these gorgeous bright orange little shorts and a royal blue top. And one of the gay boys said to me, gives a go on your hot pants. I went, no, get your own. So as I took the money and went over to the till with him, I heard him say, yeah, she's got a boss hot pants. Pity about the road maps then. So when I come back, he wasn't there. So I said to one of the lads, I said, what did he mean by that? When he said, pity about the road maps. And he said, you've got varicose veins, love, and you can see them all over you, all over your leg. Well, I was fuming and that, turkey necking like that, hey, cheeky girl, like that. But I was laughing as well. It made me laugh at myself, and I don't think I'd ever done that before. But that's why I was so sort of connected to gay boys, because they always sort of put things over with humour. No matter how serious or awful it was, they'd find something that light-heartened it and that. So anyway, so that's with Mark Booth making suggestions and how he done things. I want it more open and not just like on a monitor where you can watch it. I want it in different places where you can watch it. One of the things that we've got is we're going to have a big box with a big load of videos in with different titles, and people can pick out one that they want to watch, and then it'll be shown. We'll have a row of screens so people can choose and what they want. Things like that I want to do, so that I'm not just sitting talking about it. Another thing I'm going to have, and nobody else can use this, I want a double bed on a stage. And then
I think Tracy Emin might have beat me to it.
Yeah, but mine's not unmade.
Yours is clean.
Yeah. And I want to have people who, and tell stories about their own lives, just so it opens it up, so that people can be aware that, every individual's life matters, in no matter where you live or things like that, because, I see street knowledge, what's called street knowledge, where you learn. People say, oh, don't go down there, that's, there was trouble going on over there, and be careful of that person over there. That's what I call street knowledge, and it's an alternative education, because that's what kept me safe when I first came to Liverpool, because I was in the north end of Liverpool first, and I'd get chased, things like that, names, all that one. But when I moved to Liverpool 8, where the main black community was, and I felt safe, and that was the first time ever in my life I felt safe, and people would talk to me and I'd think, oh, the way they're all friendly and that, there was no ag going on, kind of thing. So the future is about
lots of different things,
yeah,
you don't know
moving
yet,
about
but
more.
different things.
Yeah. I have different ideas every so often, and I think I'll do something like...
It's interesting seeing, because I've been sort of project managing it, but just seeing how you've developed over the years, looking at your footage again, and kind of going backwards in a sense, but then using that to go forwards.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the sense that, we called it Rewind Fast Forward, but actually it kind of came through, didn't it?
Yeah,
in a sense, the name, it kind of developed.
Yeah, it's sort of... It fits everything that I've done on a level, because, I was brought up in a kids' home, so I didn't know mother and father. When I was in my 40s, I traced and found my mother. She hadn't even told her husband she had a kid, and I'm 40, longer story, but I'll tell you another time. And then I traced and found my father. There'd been a programme on the telly called GI Babes, and my dad was over in Bristol at the end of the war, GI, American GI, and I found out who the woman was who made the programme, and she also wrote a book with the same title, GI Babes, and her address was on the back page. So I grabbed me birth certificate and got a train, went down to, knocked on her door and said, I've just seen your show, can you tell me about my dad, And she was a bit shocked, but she said, your dad, I'd been told he was dead. Your dad's not dead. He was just a quartermaster giving out uniforms and that. He'll still be alive. So I'd done a search for him, but it took that long. Back in that days, I was going to places, to find my mother. I found her in St. Catherine's House, which is where they keep all the birth, deaths and marriages in Britain. you just push a button now and it's there on a screen in front of you, isn't it? Took me over 10 years, maybe about 12, 13 years to find her. And
You need Nicky Campbell and Davina McCall. It would have been ever easier.
yeah, no, it was great doing it myself. I'd be too impatient with them because they go through all certain.
Yeah, it's a-
I just go straight for it. I'm finding me dad, by the way, he died 10 months before I got to him, but I found his wife who was still mourning him, and she said, your dad never stopped talking about you. He told everyone, all the neighbours coming crying, saying, oh, your dad, your dad, your dad, your dad, like that. And it was like, that just changed the scale, whereas I felt quite disappointed with my mother, because I never saw her again. Her husband wouldn't let me. He was going to call the police on me, because I was trying to see her. And so that sort of levelled out the disappointment. So like you saying that, I was going back all the time as I'm growing older, but it was like where I am now, I've got what I was looking for or what I didn't have, so I feel more wholesome kind of thing. And if it hadn't have been for us doing this project, you know, I'd have most probably still been running around trying to find things, but this is sort of you know, cleared a space from that abandonment that I was feeling and things like that. I feel great.
Does anybody want to ask Sandi any?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, how much do you think that the homophobia, well, as in the quality for LGBT people, how much has improved, especially how like the gay town with like all the streets little rainbows and it's a lot more visible and gay people a lot more visible in Liverpool.
Yeah. A lot of improvements made for LGBT people, because like I said, I got my daughters taken off me when I came out, and even when I was working in this pub where you only got a few gays in there, when I came out she sacked me, you know, and that was going on all the time. I knew people who were nurses who got sacked when they came out, and it was even worse for the gay men. So over the years, like now, you can get married. What was that other one where you civil partnership, is it?
Yeah.
That you could do, and things like that. So and a lot of gay people want to get married and, you know, have the white dress and all that one going on. That Homotopia, which is a ship puts on events, you know, for gay issues or gay people and all that. That's been going on now, is it 12, 13, 14 years?
2004, wasn't it?
And you know, that's improved like the gay scene on a level, like you've got somewhere to go to see something that you can relate to. What else is there? Oh, the clubs, right. The clubs at the time, back in the day, were underground, so there was no straights in them. It was totally gay. Everyone was really buzzing, having a fabulous time, and it was run by gay people as well. And then it gradually changed, say in the early 90s, and straight people were taking over it, and they were more interested in getting bums on seat kind of situation rather than what did the gay community want, what kind of music or, you know, anything, affairs going on like that. So it has changed a lot, not necessarily to everyone's advantage though. But and I'm sure there's still a long way to go, even more, like, yeah.
Yeah, I just had a quick question kind of leading on from that. What do you think the future of like inequality or equality in Liverpool is?
Well, I think it's down to you lot, you know, because you're changing so many things that I knew in my life. Like I've been to gay places in London and all that, and there's so many different sexualities now that people can claim and call their own and not be labelled by, you know, the establishment, or you're this, you're that, you're black, you're white, you're a girl, you're a boy. And do you know what really made me see through it is, you know, the what's that egg that has a toy in it?
Kinder Egg.
Kinder Egg. They've sexualised them now. There's a girl one and a boy one, and it used to be for anyone at the time. You know, what's behind that? Why are we all labelled and put in, you know, it's that one, isn't it? You know, united you stand, but divided you're going to fall. And that's how I see what's behind all that.
It's interesting because, like, back in the day when I first saw you around, which was the early 90s, we didn't know anybody transgender. There was it wasn't an issue that anybody talked about, and you know, we were quite active within LGBT. Well, it wasn't LGBT, it was lesbian and gay at the time, and there just wasn't on the agenda. And now people call themselves gender queer or gender fluid, and that's happened in the last 20 years. So difficult to know what will happen in the future, because you couldn't have predicted that.
No.
Because you didn't know, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm not quite sure how things might change in the future, because we didn't see that one coming at all.
No, but I think it's great that, because people feel more freer and not sort of complying to mainstream labels. Yeah, so it's up to you, Gail.
No pressure. Any other questions?
Do you personally think that we, as a country, we've made big strides in terms of representation of queer women and women of colour? Do you think that that's changed to an extent that where we need to be, if you know what I mean, for our time?
It's changed from when I came out. I don't think it's as open as in some other places are, like London or even Manchester. It's only half an hour up the road. They've got far more gay things going on which are strictly gay, and gay are running them. But in Liverpool, for some reason, it's not. And a lot of the film I'm aware of is how, like, and one of the girls says it, Jane Casey says it, about how cities can manage heritage, culture as a heritage thing, but they can't deal with it while it's alive and kicking and all that one, and they close it down. And the Cream that they were on about, that club that started off dead little, all that one, then there was thousands of people going to it, and they had to they had it in, was it Southport or Warrington? You know, it moved to outside for the weekend because there was that many people going there and that. And when Jane says she knows it's all been flattened down now, and it's all clubs where people have become famous, and they've even made the buildings famous, you know, that are getting, you know, just squashed down and all that. And with Jane saying she knew, like, within 20 years it would happen to Cream, and it's happened, and now Cream's like a Barrett housing estate, but they've given Cream the key to the city. So there's the heritage starting.
We don't value it, do we? It's like Hacienda in Manchester is a horrible block of flats now called Hacienda Apartments or something. It's just outrageous.
That was mega at the time, wasn't it? You know, so I think what's going on sort of in each city is going on all over the world. Not the same kind of things, but on that level where we're not really that important. It's whoever's got the money can change things and make it how they want it. But at the same time saying that, a lot of the women who I interviewed and that, you know, they've got kids of their own now, and they're running the establishments that used to run us. But now those young teenagers who I filmed back in the day, they're the adults now running the Cumbernamarnie. There's people in the council, you know, who like mixed race and things like that. So it has opened up where you see a bit of every kind of culture in big enterprises, big, you know, things like
Probably
that.
generational, isn't it? When the old racists die,
yeah,
that, you know, hopefully
yeah, yeah,
people who are more of the generation in this room now
yeah.
will be, you know, because my niece has never been homophobic a day in her life.
Yeah.
And, you know, what I think once said to her, you know, was it ever an issue having, like, you know, the gay aunties in the village? And she was like, get over yourself. And I think,
Yeah.
and I think
Dark
that's
arts.
such a different, and, you know, if that's the way that people feel, then we just have to die, don't we, for
Yeah.
that generation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is like that, yeah.
It'll be better when we're dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Does anyone else want to ask Sandi anything else?
And by the way, the reason I called it Planet Tumbleweed, I didn't have that title till I'd nearly actually finished the film, is I'm really aware of how, like, it was like only about 10 years I understood what tumbleweed was, and what it is, it's a plant, and the plant separates from the roots, and because it's not getting fed, the plant turns into like dry grass and all that one. You know, when you see old cowboy films and there's that, I used to think, as a kid, I'd go to bed, I'd think, what's that? Where did that come from? And all that one looked like. And like 10 years ago, I found out. And with the roots, I used to wonder, well, what happens to the roots? Because the plants got off. So do the plants die and shrivel up, or do they regrow again? And I can relate that kind of setup to people's lives, or to culture anyway, because in Liverpool, that's what I really focused on, thinking, wow, the way all these places that have made loads of money and now their heritage, the people who brought the culture, that started the culture off with these events, you know, they used to have stores and sell things, what they made, or run things and that. They don't have any luck in these things now, because it's so en masse. You have to have a big, you know, army of people running it all and that, which is good in another way, because the council gets to make loads and loads of money. But what happens to the culture that it took from their roots? What happens to those people there?
And you're tumbleweed, because you didn't have, you know,
Yeah.
you came from a children's home, and you didn't have mum and dad.
I didn't have
didn't
family
have an
and all
identity, and you.
And yeah, and you know what happens when you don't have family? I see family as a safety net as you're growing up. And when you don't have that, I know I didn't have that, and I'd just be like wandering over, right up until not long ago actually, you know, someone would be going, a friend would be going somewhere, I'd be on my way somewhere, and I'd go, where are you going? And they'd say, oh, I'm going here. I'm going, oh, I'm coming where you're going. And I'd quite easily stop my arrangements and go with someone else. So I used to think, wow, the way I just done that, I was going to go there before. And then when I sussed out what tumbleweed was, I thought, yeah, that's what it is. A lot of culture becomes tumbleweed, because the heart of it gets taken out, and it's just the roots, and the heart of it gets homogenized and changed totally different from what it was originally. Just becomes a money-making thing. Cheers.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for having us.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming, everyone. And honestly, it was really, we were really happy to have you, Sandi.
Oh,
Really enjoyed hearing you speak.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, happy International Women's Day.
Thanks very much.